Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is a torch singer with a real passion and a voice that melts like smoky, salted caramel. She is a multi-genre British singer-songwriter from London. Please welcome Hannah Clive. Hello.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
How are you, my dear?
I'm very well. It's been a very busy time, but I'm just fine. I'm just glad to be talking with you. Ali, it's great. It's good. How are you?
Awesome. You know what? I'm fighting this flu cold, which I know you were fighting last week. And wow, is it ever like walloping me? It's crazy.
It's a tough one. That one. Everybody seems to be going down with it. It's just, and we've all had to sort of defer things and move things around, and you've been very generous with me and helped me with that, and now you're suffering, so I'm just sorry that you're suffering.
Oh, no worries. It'll go away. It'll go. That's the only thing that I keep in my mind. It's going to go away. So
Exactly.
let's talk about you. Now, Hannah, I obviously have listened to you. I am a fan. You like capture people when you sing. You can't turn it down. You just want to keep turning it up, and you want to keep playing it. Like, your voice is so welcoming and so beautiful. It's just unbelievable. Now,
That's so lovely. Sorry, I'm just really knocked out by what you said. That's just such a beautiful thing to say. That's never been put quite like that to me before, and I'm very grateful. It's a huge compliment. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. It's the truth. Now, we all know who Ghostly Beard is. We all love him. I love what he said about you. A cross of soul and country and rock, as if Dolly Parton had a child with Marvin Gaye and the result was the new Janis Joplin.
I know, it's pretty cool, huh?
I love him. When I read that, I was like,
I read that. I mean, who wouldn't? But I was, again, that was just such a great way of putting it. I thought, yeah, he's pretty much got it, there in terms of sort of personality as well, So, yeah, someone once said to me, I've been trying to work it out, Hannah, I've been trying to place you, and they said to me, I got it. You're a posh rock chick, Then, as you say, there's this country flavour in there. Although I don't actually listen to a lot of country per se, but I listen to. I do listen to the Eagles, and I listen to other sort of American rock not rock. I don't even know what the genre names are. I just know the bands.
yeah, they are rock, but they do cross over a little bit into the country. So we call it country rock.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I probably listen to. That may be where that flavour's got picked up from. But Ghostly Beard, how amazing is he? He's just, great supporter of artists.
He
fellow
is.
artists.
Yeah, he's my greatest promoter, and he's got a heart of gold.
Absolutely. And a huge talent as well.
Oh my God, yeah, I've had him on, and yeah, he's amazing. Now, okay, talk about singing with the likes of Ray Charles, Ronnie Wood, and David Gilmour. Did you actually sing with them or sang to their records?
Both is the simple answer to that question. In the first case with Ray Charles, I was on a record with him. That was really, really cool, and something that I wasn't expecting in the slightest, but it was one of those cases of being in the right place at the right time. And then, because they needed some backing vocals on a track that was being done, it was being written by two. He was doing an album, and some of the album was being written by a couple of British guys, and I had to know both of them, and they needed a backing vocalist to come in and do some backing vocals for them, which was supposed to just be like demo backing vocals, and I did those with another British singer, well-known British singer called Richard Derbyshire, and we did the backing vocals. I can remember that I was very tired, and that I had 2 hours to go next door and have a bit of a sleep, because I think I was on about 4 hours sleep at that point in time. And I thought, oh, good job it's a demo then, But they got sent across, and I heard later I think it must have been the engineer or one of the sound guys was involved with the recording. He bumped into me in the street and he came running over to me and said, Hannah, they've used your backing vocals. Ray said, what was his words? He said something about, they said to him, oh, Ray, this is this British girl, these are just demo backing vocals, you can do your thing with that, And apparently he turned around and he said, no, I like that girl, leave it on, was what he said. So, and I was 17.
Wow.
So I set myself, how they say, set yourself goals and stick it on the fridge or whatever, as a motivational tool. I'd said to myself when I left school at 16, I said, oh, I want to be on a record, by the time I'm, whatever I'd set myself to 20 or something like that. And there I was doing that with him. And of course, I used to watch the Blues Brothers film.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that film. I know all the words to all of the songs. So when I found myself doing this, I just was like, no, this is just blowing my mind completely,
Wow.
So long answer to a short question, I was on a record with him. And then the other two, I think you said Ronnie Wood and Dave Gilmour, that was live work that I did with them. So I was up singing with them at gigs.
Wow.
Yes.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Now, another thing that is so cool, your father, who I'm sure as soon as I say his name, I know who he is. He is a respected British actor and best-selling author, John Clive. So this all kind of runs in your family.
Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, or at least in my case, no, that's actually true of my brother, but my brother is more sort of the other side of the camera, if you see what I mean. But we're both involved in what my dad would have called the business, and yeah, it's if my parents had been, if my dad had been a greengrocer or something, I'd might have gone into that, and been up at the markets first thing with him in the mornings. But instead, this was what our family trade was. My mother too. It wasn't just my dad. My mum, she worked on seminal British music programs, during the late 60s with the BBC. So, and then she left, and she had us and stuff, and went on to a different career in another area. But it was all to do with entertainment or working with people who are in entertainment or the whole thing, really. So, yeah.
That is so
kind
cool.
of a natural progression.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, you've been on the coveted BBC introducing the BBC Radio, which everybody wants to be in the UK. I mean, that is the place to go when you've made it. And you also have been on the Gabby Roslin Show at the BBC Radio London, BBC Sussex and Surrey, as well as BBC Three Counties Radio. You've been on BBC a lot, which is awesome.
I have. Do you know what? It sounds incredible when you read it out like that to me. And I mean, if you said to me, it all happened last year. All of that, everything you just said, all of it happened in what are we now? We're 2018, I must get this right. In 2017, and it all happened, and it was just crazy. I couldn't believe it. I almost missed it because it was there was a tweet, and Gary Crowley did a tweet, and it was his show is on, BBC Introducing is on a Saturday. And I think I probably had a bit of a night the night before of being at a gig on the Friday night. And so through blurry eyes, I kind of saw this tweet, and he was holding up a piece of paper. And as it transpired, it had all the names of all of the artists that were going to be on the show. And I just thought, oh, right, okay, fine. But didn't read that it had my name on it. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't until I think I got a phone call from my producer, and he said, Hannah, and or it was that, or I saw the email in the inbox and then put the two together and went, oh, hang on a minute, So it was fantastic. And then he played the track again 2 weeks later, which blew me away again. And then I found myself being invited by Gabby Roslin to come on her show, because I'd got in touch with her, and because I was trying to find a way to see if I could move across from sort of, Radio London, which is brilliant in itself, and BBC introducing, and maybe explore, Radio 2 and that kind of thing. So I wrote to her and asked her for some advice, and blow me, she came straight back to me and said, "Would you like to come on the show?" And I was like, "No, seriously?" I couldn't believe it. I was like, "No, really?" And then before I knew where I was, I found myself sitting there next to Busted, which is a British band, which are very, very popular here and various parts of the world, and being served curry in one hand and Prosecco in the other. And I worked out that drinking Prosecco and eating curry is not the two things to do when you're about to do a live performance on BBC Radio, because the spice and the bubbles, I mean, my voice is my instrument, so you get where I'm going on this. So,
Yeah.
And I got through it. Between that and my headphones started sliding off my head halfway through, and I just had to do one of those, and it's live radio, so I had no choice but to just go, these are either going to fall off and hit my guitar and make a noise, or I'm going to have to take them off. So I had to take them off and sort of sing blind and hope that that was okay. But I listened back to it afterwards, and certainly, it seemed to go down very well. So, and then I went on and did Sussex and Surrey and Three Counties, and then off to do sort of a few gigs, across the summer, a couple of gigs across the summer.
Wow.
So it was all good fun.
Busy lady. Let's talk about 2017 still. Your song, Remember to Breathe, was released at the end of 2017. It's produced by Brian Tench, who also produced for Kate Bush and the Bee Gees. He actually produces a couple of your songs. Now, this song won Track of the Week and Top 40 for 2017 radio spots and extensive global indie airplay. Also, you've had 2 appearances on my idol. I absolutely adore this man, Jimmy Starr. The Jimmy Starr Show with Ron Russell. It introduced you to its 4 million regular visitors, and I know you were on there again today, or you were visiting there today. He is amazing. So what was that like? That must have been just wow.
Well, again, that was another kind of like, wow, this is crazy, because I got this invitation from Jimmy. He asked me to come on the show. And we'd been talking on Twitter for, I suppose, the best part of a couple of years, because I started really getting into Twitter at the beginning of, it would have been at the beginning of 2016. And I didn't know where I was going with it, but I was just getting to know people and just sort of being myself and trying to be funny. And it seemed to work, or rather not trying to be funny, but, that is me. That's part of me. And then it grew from there, I didn't really go in and manage to sort of get a handle on the show until a bit later. But we'd been tweeting and just cross-tweeting each other as part of what I do on a broader spectrum, which is to just sort of support artists, because we're going through a really tough time at the moment, as you will have seen in the press, and not just because of the remuneration on our work, but also because there's been a lot of closure of smaller venues here in Britain because of pressure from real estate people, So there's been a whole thing in the news today about that, how they're trying to put a bill through Parliament. So that's been right the way across the news and across social media. So I met Jimmy through part of my belief that it's important to support artists. And by that, I don't just mean me, I mean everybody else as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think given that we're all so up against it, now is not the time for rivalries and that kind of thing. That doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't still be sort of respectful of each other's boundaries, and what do I mean by that? It's hard for me to explain what I mean by that. I'll come back to that. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's how I met Jimmy, was through this whole ethos of wanting to support artists, if you see what I'm saying, my fellow artists.
Well, and let's talk about that a bit, because not only are you an amazing singer-songwriter, you also, like you said, you support emerging British music talent online. You write reviews, most noticeably as a recent guest indie reviewer for John Giddings, host of the prestigious Isle of Wight Festival in 2017. So that's no worries. And everybody has heard of that. So you also do that. Now you also, okay, you've won, okay, we're going to go through the awards and I'm going to talk about more of what you do. You have won Artist of the Year 2017 in a public and judge-led vote at Canada's Starlight Music Chronicles. Yay, Canada, because that's where I'm from. Picked up Best EP from a solo artist in a fan-based US radio vote, and was runner-up in a Radio Wigwam, and we all know who Radio Wigwam is, Best Female Artist 2017. Like, okay, that's a whole bunch of awards. Like, that is insane.
I know. It's been a busy year. It's amazing. Again, I come back to this thing I said before. It's like, when you reel it off like that, I'm like, whoa, seriously. But it's really lovely to be getting those things and getting that reward for your art. That's not why I do it, but to get that, to receive that, approbation, and from your peers, because it's where it's judge voted, and from your fans as well, is really important. And it's a very special thing. So I'm just hugely grateful to everyone that's been involved in that, and just so relieved actually that you like the music.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, how can you not? Now, so you've done all this, you're writing reviews. Now also, you did songwriting collaborations, including respected British hip-hop jazz fusion band The Herbalizer on their track Lost Boys, which was favored by Huey Morgan from Fun Loving Criminals, who DJs for the coveted band BBC Radio 6, he DJs for BBC
That's right.
Radio
DJs
6.
Radio 6, yeah.
Now, you also manage British rocktronica band, is it I Am Warface?
That's correct, yep. That's correct. It's a girl.
Jeez, good Lord. And who just supported British forefather of electronica, Gary Newman. I mean, cars. I mean, we all know who Gary Newman is. You also... He's a
fabulous guy as well.
Yeah, he seems like he would be an absolutely fabulous guy, just from hearing interviews and his music. Now, summer of 2017, you had exclusive performances at British summer festivals and globally on radio promoting your single Kiss of Life. And that was also produced by Brian Tench. And it was mastered by The Who's John Astley.
That's right, yes.
Wow. I would, just to touch him.
It sounds, again, when you rattle it off like that, but what it is it's me bringing across into my own music people that I've either met professionally or what have you over the years, that I've either worked with on other people's records or have met through friends of mine who are on records, other session musicians or what have you. I should just correct you there. On one point though, I mean Brian did work with Kate Bush and he was her sound engineer. So he wasn't her producer, but as a lot of people know in music, people that do sound engineering, the good ones, go on and become really great producers. So that's what Brian did. But Brian's got his own fabulous stories about Kate that he can tell another time if you could get him.
Yeah, if I can get him. That's the big if. Yeah, there's actually a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to completely, it's still on topic. I know that you're a mother. So how many children do you have?
I have one child.
A girl.
I have a girl. I have a daughter, yeah.
And how old is she? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer.
I probably rather not answer that
Okay,
one.
not a problem. But I know I have a girl who's now an adult, but I also have a granddaughter that thinks she's 20 when she's like so not. Um, and I know,
I should say I have a preteen, so
okay, there we go.
that should
Yeah, because
that
she,
tells you all you really need to
all you
know.
really need to know, because my biggest question as a mother and a grandmother, how the heck do you manage all of this?
Well, you see, it sounds like a lot. Um, how do I manage it? Well, she's at school during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I do an awful lot of what I do is done on, apart from the recording, of course, and that's me going over to, my friend, my producer's house and relaxing, and we record stuff and we do it over quite a long period of time. Um, and then the rest of it is a lot of it's done on social media. So I'm able to do that from home and pick that up, put that down as when I need to, if you see what I mean. So it sounds like a lot, but the radio, it being played on the tracks played on the radio, and that's brilliant. And once I've managed to get that ball rolling with stations and build up that relationship with them, the first time it meant that therefore when I brought out Remember to Breathe, I could go back to them and say, hey, and I'd already established that relationship. So that's how I manage all of that. It sounds like a lot, but it is possible.
Okay.
It is doable.
Well, obviously, because you're doing it and you're doing it well. So yeah, well, you're doing it well. And like BBC World says, like, you're winning fans and friends all over the world. And I like that you call them friends, because that's how I perceive people that talk to their friends. And it's so funny that like social media, when I was in radio for 18 years, social media wasn't a huge thing. And we weren't allowed to play indie artists or even talk about indie artists. So I'm in my glory because I'm discovering all this great music that I had discovered when I was in radio. But now I get to put these people on my show and learn their stories, which to me is like priceless. I can't even explain. You listen to the radio now and you're hearing the same artists. I mean, they're not the same, but they sure sound the same. And indie music gives us a chance to discover different sounds.
This is it. I'm so glad you brought it up, because the indie radio, this is a topic of conversation. It comes up repeatedly with bands. And they're like, how do we get through? How do we get through? Because it's like you hit a glass ceiling in terms of national radio play, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is. And I know why it is, and you know why it is. And it has to do with pluggers and people being paid this, and then they're only allowed this amount on their playlist, of unsigned material. And I'm not anti-industry by any means, but the issue at the moment, it seems to me, is that a lot of the old school DJs who were national DJs at a national level that were respected for still coming through with someone who maybe wasn't signed, if you see what I mean. So they have their roster of, say they were allowed 10 songs, 8 would be signed, you've got to play these, and then 2 they were allowed to slip in 2 of their own. The problem is they're retiring, and it's like, are they being replaced? And at a time when, as we've already discussed, streaming is making things difficult for artists, new artists, to survive. Venues are being closed. We've lost, I think it's a third of our venues, it may be even more than that, small venues in this country in the last couple of years. And some of them extremely well known that we've had to fight for. And I've just thought, this is ridiculous that we're having to fight this. So you've got like a perfect storm. So at such a critical point, I would argue that it's never been more important that that those DJs are allowed to have 2 songs in their playlist, because otherwise how are these bands going to get through the glass ceiling?
Yeah.
And that's why people like yourself are so important, because you enable us to be heard. You know.
Yeah, well, thank you. And
So
it's
thank
my pleasure.
you.
But I feel just from being on social media and doing what I'm doing, it's slowly starting to turn because
Yeah.
people are getting tired of the same thing being played. I mean, like I was
This
going to
is why
say
they hear
shoved
the
down
same
their
thing over
throat.
and over.
Yeah.
This is why they hear the same thing over and
Yeah.
over.
And I mean, a lot of it is the licensing for radio stations and what they say they are allowed to play. And I mean, a lot of it is, the majority of it is the mighty buck. It always is going to be. And it's sad because art is art and it should be explored. Like, not just, don't put yourself in a box and just listen to what's being played on the radio. Go on SoundCloud, or not SoundCloud. What is it? Is it SoundCloud? Good Lord, I can't remember. Yeah.
There's
Spotify, there's all, yeah.
This is always the thing. People say, "Oh, there's no good new music these days." It's like, yes, there is.
Yeah.
It's just, and they say, but you know, where do we look? You know, and the place to listen to it seems to be is indie radio, other than something like BBC Introducing, which of course is national, and well, it's local, if you see what I'm saying, because it's divided up into sections across the UK. So you've got BBC Intro London, and for that, see other cities across the UK. And then if you filter through from that, then you go through to BBC Introducing National. So, I mean, that's why it's good that as a public service broadcaster, which of course the BBC is, they've got it in their remit, you know, that they have got to support culture, and they are doing that. They're doing that as best as they can, you know, but they're inundated.
Yeah.
You know, which brings you back to your previous point, you know, at the very beginning where we came in, which is that it is so coveted, you know. So it's a huge privilege to be on it, and I don't take it lightly, you know. But that's not to say that that's the be all and end all, because I think people think that if you've been on that, oh, that's it, you're through. And it doesn't necessarily mean that. You've still got the ladder to climb, and it's important that I think that's where you learn your craft. You know.
Definitely. We have.
Question.
Well, we have a station in Canada called CBC, which is a lot like the BBC, and they have shows that do the same thing, bring independent artists on, obviously mostly Canadian, but they bring on all kinds of artists, and I bow down to them because I think that is absolutely wonderful. They're breaking the mold, and more radio stations need to do that. More DJs need to do, like you said, the ones that are retiring, that were allowed to discover new music and play. They should continue that. And I have, and I'm going to say right now,
one of them is Whispering Bob Harris, for example, as I understand it. Yeah, he's doing that.
Yeah,
he's under the apple tree or something like that. So he knows, you know. But these people have got to be replaced, if you see what I'm saying. That's not to say that he's not of his work. Of course he is, but you know, that then he's on the main radio. They need to, you know, someone needs to come along that can do the same, is allowed to do the same thing.
Yeah, they have to license. The licensing has to let up a bit. It can't be all about the mighty dollar, because especially now with the world the way it is, where we need some kind of peace and love, and indie music supplies that, because
music is the universal language.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm so glad you said that, because I 100% agree with you. You know, at a time when we do need to come together, we need to find the common denominators, because everybody's getting busy about finding out why they're different and shouting, screaming about where they're different, and where the common denominators is, where the common ground is. That's where peace comes from. Excuse me.
It's okay. You're freezing up a little bit too. We're the wonderful world of Skype. I might lose you here, but we're going to keep going because it's saying poor connection. So I'm going to try to wrap it up quicker, because we could keep. I love talking to you. We could go on and on and on. You're still coughing. I feel awful. But I'm glad that we.
It's great. talking about, and I know that we could talk about this more.
Yeah.
You know.
We could. I just think, I mean, I was talking with one of the artists I interviewed last week, talking about doing a special Spotify list for Donald Trump where it's all like mellow music, like 70s. And that's the thing about independent music too, singer-songwriters. They kind of bring that era back because their lyrics mean something, and your lyrics mean something. Every song you write is something that you've either gone through or it's a personal song, which is basically the same thing. And they're beautiful. So we're going to get into the two songs. I don't want to lose you and wreck this complete interview because it's such a good one. So I'm going to just kind of try to wrap it up here. Let's talk about the two songs we're going to hear. We're going to hear Kiss of Life and Remember to Breathe. Are you okay? Do you want to get a drink? Well, I'm good. I can babble while you get a drink. Oh my goodness. Both of us are not feeling well, and we're both trying to get this done. This is crazy.
I just got the right down there in my chest.
Oh,
just as I was talking, maybe we're not meant to talk about Trump and get too associated.
Maybe not, probably not. I try to stay away from politics. Like, I just keep mentioning that.
That's the common ground.
Yeah, he just needs some mellow music. I think they should pump it in all over the world. I think people would mellow out. Okay, so Kiss of Life, which has won awards. What is that a personal song for you?
Yes, it is. It was exactly what it says on the tin. It was, do you know what? Kiss of Life was a great song because it took a few years for me to get it recorded the way that I wanted it recorded. But finally we did it. Brian did it. Several goes were had at it. But, and he nailed it. And it's a positive song. And so often it's easy to write songs that can be, when you're down in the dumps and you want to pour your heart out. But when you're happy and something great's happening, you're usually off busy doing what's making you happy and feels great.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you forget to write a song. But in this instance with Kiss of Life, that's what I remembered to manage to do. So this is Kiss of Life.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. Now let's talk about Remember to Breathe. One of my favorite songs, I'm going to just say right now.
Thank you. I'm bowled over. You listen to songs for a long time. I've listened to that song for a while before I released it because I had to hold back releasing. Took a decision to hold back releasing my newer material because I wanted to make sure that Kiss of Life had a really good run, if you see what I mean. Because I didn't feel that it did do on the first run for whatever reason. But anyway, I won't go into that. But so when Remember to Breathe finally came out, and it was so different from Kiss of Life, I did hold my breath, funny enough, to see what the reaction would be. So I'm absolutely thrilled to bits that it's proving so popular and that it's touching people. It was meant to.
Yeah, I can tell it's got a lot of emotional attachment to you just from listening to you talk about it. Now, do you have a website?
I do, yes. It's everything to do with me on social media involves my name. I've managed to keep it really simple, so there are no numbers, no underscores. It's just hannahclive.com. And Hannah is spelled with an H at both ends. It's Pandro.
Yes.
And Clive is with a C, and it is my surname. So just to clear that one up.
Awesome.
So yeah, hannahclive.com, and that's where you'll find all my stuff, all my links, all sorts of news, my blog, everything.
Everything. Well, it's going to be on my website. People just have to click on it, and it's going to link right to yours. So they'll be able to discover all kinds of things about you. You can buy your music online, also on your website. I urge everyone to get to know Hannah on social media, through her website, and definitely through her music. You are going to be blown away if you haven't heard her. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't even put into words how beautiful it is. I love the songs, and Remember to Breathe I love the song. It's just one of my favorite songs. It's now on my playlist. I want to say thank you. Don't cry because you'll make me cry because I don't do that. Okay.
Swear to my glasses off. You're reading me well. No, don't.
Yeah, yes. I'm going to be taking mine off right away.
Difficult thing to say, and that's very empowering. And I'm glad it's touched you. That one's for my girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, geez, Hannah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
And all my love, and thank you so much. And I know we can talk a lot more.
Definitely. And anything new happens, like come
Thank
back.
you so much for what you're doing to support, people like me and Ghosted Beard and Verity and all of us. It's tremendous, and it makes us want to carry on breathing. So thanks very much.
Oh my goodness, Hannah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for making wonderful music.
Take care. And
you
I
too.
love Canada. Half
Yes.
my family's married to Canadians, so
there you go. Well, we're so much like the UK, it's not even funny. So yes, please check out Hannah. Hannah, thank you again for coming on. You take care, sweetie.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website because you never know what kind of surprises you'll find in my attic. Cheers!